Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Local Film Talk. I'm your host, Bob Walters, and we're here today with Don Sill, the creator and director of Triangle Life TV's latest show, Canker Sorz. And so we thought we'd get a little bit of your background and hear some more about the show because it's kind of an interesting story, and it's cool how you came up with it. And you got a lot of cool people in town in that one, so it's kind of a who's who of the local acting scene. So yeah, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's definitely an honor to be here with you, man. I always wanted to be a part of the local film talk, so this is a big day.
Well, cool. We're glad to have you on. So we'll start out by talking about how you got into video and stuff. You're originally from New York, right? How'd you end up in the Triangle area?
Originally from New York. Basically, the reason I'm in North Carolina now, and also the reason I'm in video as a profession now, is both pretty much the same story. I was in New York. I was primarily a writer. I would write for like Circus magazine and music magazines, basically covering rock music and things like that. And in 2004, the NHL went into a lockout and kind of like a strike. And a lot of people started to leave their jobs. And my friend of mine, who I grew up with, was the main producer over there with the Carolina Hurricanes. He was the director of the Canes Vision. And he came to me and said, "Don, we could really use you over here. A lot of my guys have left. There's rumors that the hockey, might be coming back soon. The lockout might be over, and we need producers." And I said, "Pete, I'm a writer. I'm not a video producer. I don't know the first thing about video production." But he said, if you hone those same skills, those storytelling skills, and you apply those from instead of on paper but into video, I believe you can do it. And he believed in me, and he took me through it, taught me everything from white balancing a camera all the way through editing on Avid at the time, and basically, I was natural at it to some degree, and in the first season with the Hurricanes, it was 10 years ago, not only did we win the Stanley Cup, and I got to hoist that over my head and do all those great things, but also we won 3 Telly Awards for videos that I was a part of, including the Ballad of Chase McCoy, which we're trying to turn into a short film now. All these years later with Dean Garris, we're trying to make that into a short film. But yeah, so basically, right out of the gates, the good things were happening, Stanley Cups, Telly Awards, and I was like, this is easy, let's do this all the time. But it does not.
It's all got to be uphill from here, right?
Exactly. I mean, when you win one of the biggest trophies in all of sports on your first year ever, it's kind of like, where do we go from here? But it's always, every season's a challenge, but as far as the video goes, I'm always constantly learning. Basically, I still to this day apply the same storytelling skills I did when I was writing short stories or writing interviews, for Circus magazine. And I still apply the same thinking process goes into how I develop a timeline on, a video.
Right. Well, I mean, that's the interesting thing is that to start out, you didn't have any of the technical experience, but you had the storytelling experience, and as you can see, that's really the most important part. If you can tell a good story, it doesn't matter how how good your equipment is or anything. A good story gets its way through the technical limitations. So you were able to start out from basically ground zero with the Hurricanes, and you had great ideas and were able to go from there. That's really cool. You said you started out with Avid. Do you guys still use that, or are you still using it?
About 5 years ago, I've been with the team 10 seasons, and my 10th year in North Carolina is this month, March, actually. So I've been in this. Yeah, thank you. I love it here. I do love it down here. I loved it immediately. but yeah, going from Avid to Final Cut, we did that about maybe 5-6 years ago, and now we've all transferred from Final Cut now to Adobe Premiere. So I like Premiere and I like Final Cut, and I think, like I tell people, like you mentioned, it's all really about the storytelling when it comes to to editing for me. And there's a lot of kids that come out of school and they know how to do all the fancy stuff, but or that they're advanced in that. But if you don't have those basic skills that you can't teach in school, which is basic storytelling, or just to have the eye for where to put what where on a timeline, so I think those natural skills go a long way, and that's what carried me through to this far anyway.
Right.
But I'm always learning. The learning never stops.
Right,
So,
right. There's always something new.
key.
There's always something better. There's always some plug-in coming out that you got to learn that's going to make your life way easier.
Exactly. Like Google Hangout.
Yeah, there's no way we could have done this 3 or 4 years ago. So it's and I've heard that they're actually going to be beefing up everybody's connection. Not only is Google Fiber coming into the area, I don't know where you live. I'm actually up in Creedmoor, which is not going to be getting Google Fiber. We're a little out of that zone, but in order to compete with Google Fiber, Time Warner is beefing up everybody's connection in the area, and we are supposed to be a part of that. So once we get faster download speeds, and for the case of a Google Hangout, faster upload speeds, these things should look really nice. I've seen people who who live in like Los Angeles in the middle of town that have really fast internet connections, who do their podcast or their web shows via Google Hangout, and it looks almost as clear as watching CNN. So I'm looking forward to it. It's exciting.
This is cool. I'm in Holly Springs, but it is cool to be able to talk to you and get this interview done, because we have had some scheduling conflicts. So
Right.
This resolves that, and this is great to finally be.
So tell us a little bit. Like we said, you work for the Hurricanes. You've been there for 10 years. But you do a lot of stuff on the side. So how did you get into the local filmmaking community? How did you start meeting some of those people and getting involved in their projects?
Basically, I used to I would do the music for the Carolina Hurricanes. So in game, I would play the music, and a lot of local bands would give me their CDs and stuff, and then they would ask me if I would help them out doing music videos. So one day we did it with this band Aerial Down. I was getting ready to work on one of their videos, and then they had their video guy with them, and we're at a lunch, and the video guy couldn't do it. His name's Tim Sesniak, and he could not commit to a date because he said he was making a movie. And everybody at the table started laughing and kind of like in a mocking way, like, "Oh God, okay, have fun with your movie," But me, I never think that way. I always support anybody who's trying to accomplish something. So I said to him, I said, "Hey man, tell me about the movie." And he told me it's this movie called Remnants that he's working on, and that it's a low budget film, and that they're casting for people. And I said, "Hey man, I used to act when I was 19." And I told him, I said, "If you need a guy who's chubby and has a beard, let me know. I'll be in it," joking around with him. So sure enough, a couple of days later, I got a call, and he said that the guy who's writing it wants to meet with me and maybe help him do a GoDaddy.com commercial contest, right? So I went and we did this contest, and it was with this kid John Stansel, and Steve Grove was in it. Steve Grove now does a lot of music scores for other movies and things like that since then. But so they were all on it, and we did the spoof for GoDaddy.com, and essentially that helped get me the role in Remnants. And this movie Remnants it was my first film out of the gates, and because I believed in this kid, and however it happened, I ended up being fourth billed. I was right under like Robert Pralgo, who's been, I don't know if you know who Robert Pralgo is, but he's been in a lot of movies. The movie with Sandra Bullock, with Blindside, he was in that. He played one of the scouting guys and stuff.
Okay.
And also Jeff Briggs was in there. That's where I got to meet Jeff Briggs for the first time. He played the bad guy. And anyhow, that's the first movie. And then that movie ended up snowballing into a bigger production and ended up having Tom Sizemore in the film. And then that movie also now, is on Netflix, and it's become like this little, this movie just kept growing. And I was very fortunate that to be my first film. but that's where I met a lot of guys. I met Roger Paris on set there, and it led me to Scorpion, where I played a mafia guy, to another movie with Sean Pollock, which was Outside of Darkness, and then then you start each film you kind of network and with the actors, because everybody's making a movie. The sound guy is sitting there holding a boom, and he's like, "Hey, you'll be perfect for my," and then next thing you know, you're on his set doing his movie. So I love that, and I love the camaraderie on this local scene, especially in the Raleigh scene, which is I'm a lot closer to than other scenes. You got the Durham scene, you got the Greensboro scene, you got Charlotte scene, but the Raleigh scene is where I really connect with guys like like Dean Garris, Al Julian. You got Roger Paris. You got the Twin Naples Media guys over there. You got so the list goes on and on. You know them all because you're always at the meetup groups, and it's a great scene, and I'm fortunate to be a part of it, and I'm very proud of what everyone here has accomplished, and the talent pool is really, really impressive.
Yeah, it was a weird feeling when I first started hanging out with these people and getting to know them, and somebody said, "Oh, so and so is in my movie," and I'd watch their movie, their short, or their web series, and I'd see that guy, and then I'd start seeing other stuff that they were in, and being told, "Oh, you got to check out this other guy's stuff," and then I'd start hearing, "Oh, go watch some other guy's short film," and I watched that, and I'm like, "Oh, wait, I recognize 3 people from this." And when it's something that personally I wasn't used to, is recognizing people in movies. Normally the extras or the little bit players in a TV show that you watch are people you've never seen or heard of before. And now it's gotten to the point where I've met so many people around here who are in, they go down for a few days to shoot at a TV show that's down in Wilmington or something. I'll recognize the receptionist at the hospital in the season of whatever. I'm like, it's weird, it's bizarre.
it is trippy, man. You start seeing, like, watching Iron Man 3, there's so many people from the local scene that are extras in that movie, like featured extras, that I'm like, oh yeah, there's Fox, oh yeah, there's this guy, so you see people that just in Iron Man 3, so it's kind of trippy,
yeah.
And that was a great cast.
You've done a lot of acting. Have you, heading over towards the Canker Sorz stuff, prior to that, had you spearheaded many projects?
With the Hurricanes, I have. I've done a lot of mascot sketches with Stormy, and I've directed the team, actually the players, in like Christmas videos and other fun type of things like that. Every year the Globetrotters come to the PNC Arena, so we will mix it up and have the Globetrotters come in and do a sketch with Stormy. So I've directed those kind of guys, and the Globetrotters, so sometimes it's hard to rein them in. But so I've had that kind of experience to directing that level of talent. Those kind of guys who are veterans. These guys know what to do in front of camera. So they're easy to direct in that regard, but they also are difficult sometimes. But no, I love directing and producing films as well.
So moving on to your current project, Canker Sorz. How did that start out? Because you also had the short documentary Change of Scenery, which is also about the Canker Sorz, but there's also a lot more members. How does that work? It seems like it's kind of a behind the music version of the Canker Sorz story. So tell us about that.
Right. Well, the Canker Sorz began basically Change of Scenery. It was an actual rap group of mine when I was a kid. I grew up in Brentwood, Long Island. Everyone in my neighborhood had their own rap group. So we had a rap group called Change of Scenery, and we were really doing it, and really thought we had the talent to do it. But that was in like 1987. So now here we are all these years later, and then I just thought it would be funny, what if we had a reunion tour? And that's basically the catalyst idea that started this whole thing. And then all the cast of COS were people I worked with at King's Vision, rappers as well when they were younger. So we all just said, hey, let's make a song. So it all started with a song that we did. We recorded a song, and then we said, hey, let's make a fake documentary. We'll get Bob the Blade, legendary radio personality, from like 96 Rock, and then we, from there, the movie happened, and then we started to get some buzz. We had, a couple of, like Trailblazer Studios was interested in us for a little while, and things just fell through. And then Bob the Blade moved to Arizona, and one of
No, I didn't know that.
yeah. I think he's teaching school over there, and I think he's got a radio job now in Arizona.
Oh, good for him.
I'm not 100% sure if Bob's a great guy, and he really added a lot of credibility to the change of scenery, and we were excited, and still unto this day that he said yes to that project and was on board with us. But
I've lived here in Raleigh my whole life, and Bob the Blade, 1061, and then eventually after things changed around a lot, he bounced back a little bit on 96. So yeah, he's been a local staple around here. It was cool to see him again. Again, radio personality. He pops up, and I see the face, and I have no idea who that is. But as soon as he opens his mouth, I'm like, I know that guy. It's the Blade.
Yeah, exactly. And having him in there really was big for us. And then another guy moved away. One of our members of moving away as well. So the group kind of was dwindling down, and we just said, you know what, let's let this be its own short film. And then John and I decided to do a spin-off series, the Canker Sorz, and kind of it's the same universe potentially as the Change of Scenery, but it is different. There are a different storyline. It doesn't all match up. Like if someone wants to try to match up the COS timeline versus the Kanka timeline, it will, it's not all cohesive. But the Canker Sorz is a different animal. It's I think Survive, like my character, is a lot more silly in Canker Sorz in a way than he was in the documentary. I think the documentary is a little more hardcore, like, yo, what's up? And in Canker Sorz, I'm a little bit more like, what? Like a little bit more, so the character is a little different, but
more naive in some ways. I mean, you even play around at some points with the ideas that they're not at all familiar with drugs.
Right, exactly. Yes, exactly. And Survive in the documentary would have been, he would have known, get that over on. That's just so the character is a little different as well. But I think the team between me and John play off really strong. John Grant, who plays Johnny G. I think our chemistry as a team is strong, and I always tell people, I said, we're kind of like a combination of Laurel and Hardy meets Cheech and Chong meets those two guys from the Sonic commercial. So that's how I see us, and with a little hip hop flair, And one thing I always wanted to keep consistent with this Canker Sorz is that we always, at least in our world, we have rap skills. So even though we're kind of naive and not the brightest guys in the world, when it comes down to it, we can rap, and I thought that was essential. That when people do hear the music or see us rap, they're like, whoa, hey, these guys are, they can really throw it down. So that was part of the thing as well that we wanted to get.
Well, and I remember that from COS too. It's from Change of Scenery. It's kind of a, in ways it's kind of silly, kind of spoofy, but at the same time, the music's pretty legitimate. Especially that song at the end. I did.
Cool, thanks. That's the song that set it all off. Yeah. That was the song we recorded originally, and then we kind of built the whole thing because we had that song. Yeah, and I love that song. It's great stuff.
So you came up with the show, and so tell us a little bit behind the scenes. Who writes them? Who directs them? How have you? I assume you edited as well.
I've basically been directing and editing and writing, and the way the writing, and John does a lot of the writing. How it works out is me and John will basically talk it out. All right, what are we gonna do, man? Hey, and then just talking, just in conversation, just like if me and you start talking, all of a sudden be like, oh yeah, and then we could do this, and then we could do, and then all of a sudden, we'll have this whole thing formulated, and then John will go and he'll write out the script, and then the script is loose. What we try to do is, I think the way you get the best out of actors sometimes is to let them improv. Not everybody could improv great, but so some people enjoy sticking to the script.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, hey man, I just wanted to come off natural. So I'm
Right.
like, here's a loose script. We want to get from here to here. This is this is how the plot's gonna go. So I want you basically like, let's say the drug episode, right? When we
Mm-hmm.
had Dean and Chris Holdsworth, two.
A rare on-screen appearance by Dean Garris.
Yes, Dean Garris, we got him in front of the camera, and Chris Holdsworth, and basically what we want, I gave them the scene that was scripted out, and then when we're there, they started improvising, and they said, hey, how about we got Dean, rummaging through the girl's pocketbook, and that's where he gets the birth control pills from, and because that's not the way it was written. It was just written that they had them on them already, and then we were supposed to shoot it outside, and then Holdsy's like, how about I'm playing darts and you guys approach me, and then the whole thing about, do I look like a drug dealer? And they're like, yeah, you do. That was all improv, and so all that stuff kind of works itself out and then makes it better. So we go. So like I said, John and I conceptualize it. John writes it out, and then we improv it, and then I take the best takes in the edit, which is difficult sometimes because we have a lot of great takes and a lot, we go in different directions, and it's hard to rein it in.
Yeah, and in addition to it being, hard to improvise, especially for a lot of people to improvise and get good type material, the other problem you run into is that when you do get a lot of great material, you got to figure out which to cut, which can be, can be like killing your babies. That can be hard. That's the best problem to have. I have too much good material. What am I going to do?
Yeah. It is tough when you have a lot of good material and you kind of have to start cutting, and that's when I got to say to myself, the editor comes out of me, and I go, that's why they call it editing. We got to chop it. We got to make decisions, and hopefully it's the best decisions, and and then it is cool that to incorporate a lot of the local guys and pull them in there, like the Chris Holdsworths and the Deans and the Tom Gore, and we have Mellow Mike Miller, who's a comedian who plays the bartender. He's a local comedian. We have Cesar Comanche, who plays For Reals. He's a rapper. He actually tours the world. So For Reals is a legit rap artist. We have Megan Hornbeck is playing the girl in this thing who becomes, and you'll see in episode 8 that in episode 2 she's the one I was hitting on. At what time is it open? She becomes more of a character coming out. We had Rob Chapman in there, who was Roro from the COS movie. We did a callback, brought him back. So yeah, I mean, I hope I'm not missing anybody. Because we have Ryan Saven is our cameraman. He's the one who's been coming out and shooting these things for us on his Canon 5D, I think he has, or 7D. I'm not sure, but it's all shot on that. And everybody who's been involved in this thing has been great. We had John Custer, the legendary John Custer, involved, the Custard Man. And so it's been great, man. It's just been a great experience. And like I tell John when we're talking and we're saying, where do we think this is going to go? What do we want to happen with this thing? We're going to put it in festivals. We're going to try to sell it and make it a legit series, or what can we do with it? And I was like, you know what? If nothing happens, if this thing fizzles out and nobody cares about it, we're having a blast shooting these things, and and that's really, for the short term, all that matters is we are all having fun. Everyone on set is enjoying it and having a blast. And if something does happen, if this thing goes viral, if someone discovers us, discovers the characters, or someone wants to make it a series, if we do put it in festivals and win awards, that's all gravy.
Right.
So we're enjoying the process and enjoying the camaraderie and doing something creative and telling a story about rap that I don't know if it's been told this way before.
Mm-hmm. No, and it's a lot of fun too. You don't see that many narrative series on a topic like that. So you mentioned a lot of disparate people from really different backgrounds. You've got actors, legitimate actors like Tom Gore, Chris Holdsworth. You got a guy like Dean, who's a director but not so much an actor. You bring in a comedian, you bring in music producers, uh, and like you say, you rely quite a bit on improv. How does that work when you're dealing with people from such different backgrounds, different acting abilities? How do you have to approach a scene with Tom Gore differently from a scene with Caesar Comanche?
Right. Well, I noticed that some of the actors really tend to be more comfortable on script, and they kind of stick to the script.
Mm-hmm.
They learn their lines, and then they come out and they'll actually do the lines verbatim that's on script, right? Then you got other actors who are way more comfortable with the freedom to improvise. Because even though I'm directing it, I'm very loose. I'm like, all right, yeah, because we kind of run and gun a lot of the stuff. So I'll be like, all right, you can stand there. I'm here, man. Let's just do it. And then, so I think it's a laid back vibe, so everyone feels good and it's just fun. We just have it's like playing when you were a kid, like making it up as you go along. But I think like with For Reals, Comanche the rapper, he is really good at improv. He understands who his character is and what he wants to convey. He knows that in a sense, if you watch the show, he's the straight man. He's the voice of seriousness. Like, hey, you guys have to be prepared when you come here. So he's almost like our parent figure. He's like so. And then
right now, should I use a pen or a pencil? It doesn't matter now. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. And then you got a guy like John Custer, who, man, amazing. That guy should just be an actor. Like he is an outstanding music producer, musician in his own right. But man, he is a really solid actor, and he knocked it out of the park with his scene. He'll be back in in another scene. He's going to redo his role for something else. But also, then Mellow Mike, the comedian, he just took to it, and when he came in that day, first thing I asked him was, "All right, did you read the script?" He's like, "No." So I was like, "Okay."
Always a good sign.
So I was like, "Here's what we need you to do," and he just did it, and he was funny and great and added a lot to it, and I just think each production we're also getting tighter as the camera guy, Ryan Saban's getting better, and we're starting to realize, oh, you know what, let's shoot it. Let's shoot 2 angles this time. So we're starting to take more time too. Where in the earlier ones, we would literally just shoot one quick scene, and I just because didn't, and it just kind of snowballed into, all right, let's do this for real now. Let's start making real film.
Mm-hmm.
So it's escalating and getting better and better, and I just want to keep that trend going.
Right. So I was going to say I've noticed that with the later episodes, the story has really started. Like episode stories arcs have started to evolve more and get more complicated. I think my favorite episode so far was probably the birth control episode with Chris and Dean, partially because it seemed like it was the one that had, up to that point, the most plot so far. A lot of the earlier episodes seemed to be a single scene that was more of just a premise, and then you guys just kind of riffed on that topic. Right. But starting with the birth control scene, and then the next episode being the auditions for a beatbox. Those two have had a lot more plot points, and I was wondering, now that and obviously you filmed more episodes, which have you found works better? What do you think? What have you found gets a better response from the audience? The more plotted episodes, or the more free-flowing riffs? And which do you plan to do more of in the future?
I think the plotted episodes, like you mentioned, those last 2, Writer's Block and the beatbox auditions, I think both of those are definitely 2 of the strongest, and I think it's because they had, beginning, middle, and end. They did have an arc within its own story. The other ones, what we were just doing, the original plan was just to do a scene, and make them anywhere from 5 minutes to 6 minutes in length, and just making quick hits. But as we started to do them more, and as we started to get people wanting to be involved in it, and a little bit of local buzz going around, I wanted to try to make it more like an episode rather than a scene. And so that's what we're trying to do more of, and it is more complicated on my end as an editor now. It's not like, oh, I can just go in and knock it out in a couple hours. Now it's like a couple of days. I got to, like, get into it and really tweak these things. But yeah, I want to do more of those, and I think that from now to the next few episodes will all be very similar in design to actual episodes, and we still want to keep them about, now we're looking at like 10 minutes each, but we want to keep them short hits, because it is on the web, and people's attention spans tend to be a little less when it comes to the web. If you don't hit them, right out of the gates, they are gonna just check their Facebook or check their Twitter, and leave you. So to engage them, we try to engage them right out of the gates. So that's the plan.
Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you about that, the evolution of the series so far. I don't remember how many episodes you have planned. 10 or 12, I think?
Yeah, it looks like we're going to head towards 12 right now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because we just got word, like, that Bates Battaglia, he's the one of the Carolina Hurricanes alumni players, and also he won the Amazing Race a couple of years ago. Yeah, they own Lucky Bees downtown Raleigh. He is going to do a cameo. We got Jeff Briggs is going to come on board and do a cameo for us. Then we have another thing. We have Roger Paris coming in. We got Michael Howard going to do a scene with us. Then we have Mike Maniscalco, who's another radio guy, he's going to do something with us as well. So we have as this thing progresses and people are actually asking to be in the show, we're like, all right, I guess we're gonna keep going, until because
you only planned on doing so many episodes, but now you have so many cameos, you have to write more material just to fit everybody in.
We are writing, different arcs of storylines just to continue on with the series. So and that's a challenge, but it's also fun too, because the freedom we have with the Canker Sorz, we can get in all kinds of trouble. We can just, so like, with Jeff Briggs and Bates Battaglia, I don't want to give away what we're going to do with those guys, but it's going to be something that you might not expect, and so it's going to be fun, and and like I tell people too, when I tell people that I'm doing a comedy about hip hop comedy, they automatically think, oh, it's going to be Jamie Kennedy, Malibu's Most Wanted type of thing.
Right.
And I'm like, no, that's not what this is. We don't ever make fun of the culture. We make fun of ourselves. Right. And it doesn't matter what music we were pursuing. It's all a matter of our journey. It's the Canker Sorz in general. We could have been country guys looking to play country music somewhere. It would have been the same story. So it just happens to be that we can rap. We're rap guys. We both, John and I, grew up in the late '80s, '90s rap scene. Guys like Big Daddy Kane, and EPMD. Bless you. And Craig Mack, and all those kind of rappers is what we grew up with, and Redman and all those dudes. So we're true hip hop fans, and we always wanted to keep it real with the hip hop community as well. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, like you said, you're coming from a place of love, not trying to take somebody down a peg.
Exactly, and that's never our intention. We just, if we're taking anybody down a peg, it's our own characters. We're always the blunt of the joke, yeah.
Right. And what if you found, a lot of people, when they think of production, they think of the three main things: pre-production, production, and post-production, which we kind of touched on. But a lot of the people I talk to for the show say that everyone always forgets the last part, which is marketing and distribution. Obviously, as far as distribution, you put them out on YouTube for free, all the episodes. Anybody can go and watch every episode right now for free on YouTube. We've also brought you guys in as a part of Triangle Life TV, so people can visit trianglelife.tv and go to the Canker Sorz page and see all the episodes there. What have you been doing in terms of marketing, and what have you learned along the way? Because when it comes to social media and stuff, we've all got a lot to learn. We're always learning something new. So what are some things you've discovered about getting the word out? Things you thought were true that aren't, or vice versa?
I was naive enough to think that it was going to go viral immediately. I thought people were going to share it and say, "Oh, these guys are hilarious," and just, just start spreading them out there.
We all make that mistake.
So that has not really happened or taken off the way I wanted it to. I see a slow trend and it moving in the right direction, but I think it's going to take a little more time than I assumed it would. I honestly thought that by the time we got to episode 3 with John Custer episode, that because I think that's a funny episode, I thought that was going to really launch us to viral. But you know, it's not easy. And right now, our marketing and everything has all been social media marketing. So we've been, you know, Twitter and Facebook mainly, and also on YouTube, and then through you guys with Triangle Life TV, who've been awesome, and we love being a part of the team with you guys over there, by the way. It's been cool for us. But yeah, so it's a learning process for sure. I never really you know, had to market and brand my own stuff before. I'm usually part of, like, whether it's the Hurricanes, who we do our own push, or other films that I've worked on. Those guys will worry about all that. So this time around, I'm like, all right, I want to push this thing. How do I do it? So we're still learning and still, you know, trying to get it out there. But I think that when the series ends and I have the full series to push, you know, like when we have all the episodes out there, then I'm going to try to get it into festivals and all that kind of stuff, and I might, you know, figure out new ways to get the word out and help spread, as we say, spread the virus, the Canker virus.
Well, and if you know, whatever you learn, we're happy to hear. It's, you know, like I said, it's always, things are always changing. You know, personally, I've never really been able to put my finger on SEO, search engine optimization.
Right, yeah.
It's just not something that I grasp naturally, but I've tried to research it, and one of the things I found is that it's always changing, because it's all about keywords and what are people looking at now. And to know what people are looking at now, you got to keep on that all the time, and it keeps changing. And, you know, social media in general is a lot like that. You know, when you start something, you know, one platform might be the big way of doing stuff, but by the time you're done, it's you know, everybody's over somewhere else, and there are different types of things that are trending. So it's always evolving, and the stuff that I tried 6 months ago isn't working now, and I got to figure it out all over again. So
it's definitely a learning curve, and I think, you know, most filmmakers on the independent level, and even, you know, up the chain, all face that, you know, marketing and branding, and how to, because you never really know what, you know, what's gonna, there's no guarantees what's gonna, you know, hit and what's gonna miss, and all that sort of thing. So, you know, I think if you believe in your product and stand behind it, eventually they'll come to you. Back in my writing days, I would interview a lot of bands and a lot of comedians, and that was one of the things I used to ask them: how did you guys get to where you are? And the really great ones, like you know, comedians and stuff, they would tell me, you know, like Dane Cook. Okay, I don't want to name drop, but I interviewed him once, and he
name drop, but Dane Cook told me.
My good friend Dane Cook explained to me.
Well, I was hanging out at his pool.
He told me that in the beginning of his career, no one got him, no one's getting him, and he said that his thing was he was going to wait for the audience to come to him. He wasn't going to pander to them. He wasn't going to, and eventually they did. And for a couple of years, Dane Cook was the biggest comic in the world, you know. And now, of course, you know, he kind of fizzled out or whatever. He's not around anymore. I'm sure he'll resurface again. So he's a talented guy. But the point is that he let them come to him. He didn't pander to them. And I believe in that. I think that you have, like people say, be yourself, and then people will come to you, you know. And it's the same kind of philosophy. Don't pander. Sooner or later, they'll come to you, as long as you believe in what you're giving them. And that's what kind of the direction I'm going in with a lot of my work, and especially with the Canker Sorz. I'm thinking eventually people that don't get it are going to come around, and then we'll see what we got going on here, and hopefully they get the jokes that we're giving them. Because if you watch it, there's layers within the jokes, so it's a you know, pretty clever at times too.
Right. Well, and audiences can sense, if nothing else, they can sense genuine enthusiasm for what you're doing. And like you say, if you try to pander or you try to figure out what you think the audience wants, but it's not what you yourself are passionate about, they're going to sense that lack of enthusiasm and that desperation. Whereas even if your thing isn't the kind of thing that's going to become hugely popular, if people can tell that you're doing what you love, you may never get a huge audience, but you're going to find people that appreciate that and realize that you care about what you're doing, and you'll get some kind of following.
Yep. Yeah,
And so
exactly.
far, it's going pretty well with the Canker Sorz too, it seems. So I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of those episodes come out.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. We have a lot of fun episodes planned. We're still in the shooting phases. Like I said, we're racing against the clock to get episode 8 done. And then we already got episode 9 planned out, so we kind of know where we're going. It's just a matter of getting them shot and filmed, but beyond that, man, everything's good, and people can check it out. Kanka Sorz at Canker Sorz, KANKASORZ.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing how that turns out. I guess we're about ready to wrap up, but let's. So, what are some of the other things you're working on? I mean, Canker Sorz is a big project, but you're a busy guy. You got your hands in a lot of different pies. What are some of your other projects?
A more serious project called Foster a Voice. And it's fosteravoice.com. You can go there. We're starting a Kickstarter campaign, and basically, we're doing a film about foster kids, and all the proceeds will go to foster care and trying to help these foster kids out. And if you look at the statistics on how many foster kids there are out there, how many abused and neglected kids there are out there, and orphans, and it's staggering. So what we need to do, and also the foster system, and it has a lot of flaws in it. So what we're trying to do is raise the funds to try to improve the foster care system and try to get some really strong foster parents to come in and help save these kids' lives, because it's tough for these young abused kids out there, and these homeless children, and it's an important cause. And if you want more statistics and more stats on it, you want to research it a little bit, go to fosteravoice.com. It will tell you all you need to know. And if you want to help out with the Kickstarter campaign that we're doing, please, that would be awesome. Any little bit helps us. Twin Maples Media guys are helping us. We got Tim Bell, Conrad Arnold, and of course Robert Gordon are involved in this, along with me and Larry Perkins, who is the main CEO involved in this whole project. He's overseeing it. So it's an important thing. So that is high on my list as well. It's a completely different animal than Canker Sorz. It's like you go from Canker Sorz to this. It's like, two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm also working on another film in Greensboro with the Greensboro team out there. Which we have Christopher Hayes is the director. We got Sean Pollock is the DP, and it's a story about this female MMA fighter, and I play her coach, and I take her under my wing and train her, and her name is Katrina Howell, and she is an outstanding actress from Greensboro, and I really think we'll see a lot more of her. I think this girl has some real potential, some real chops. So Katrina Howell, if any filmmakers out there looking for an actress, give her a call. Look her up on Facebook. but yeah, so currently, and I also got the thing with Dean Garris, Party Animal, where I will be going. And, yes, it's going to be a series. It's still in development, so I can't disclose too much about it, other than I will be going to some parties, and it's going to be fun.
You will be the party animal.
Yes.
Well, there's a Facebook page out already. People can go check that. I'll look up the URL and put that across the lower third here. But Party Animal, and I believe you also had a starring role in another Dean Garris project, The Session, which is, I believe, out on the festival circuit right now. Right?
Yeah. Yes, I believe so. The Session was a great movie written by Al Julian.
Al Julian joint.
Yes, Al Julian. He is a mastermind, and he does a lot of great work. And he could write all different stuff. He could write these real crazy, dramatic you know, kind of series like The Agent, and the Cameraman, and then write like The Session, and then he writes these comedies as well, these crazy comedies that we've been doing a couple as well. But so Al Julian's a very talented guy, and so he wrote The Session, and Jeff Briggs is in it, and a couple other guys, and Mike Howard is also in it. So it was a really cool cast, really well written piece, and well directed, and the final product looks really good. Dean did an outstanding job directing it and editing it and putting it all together, and I think Steve Grove did the music. So it's another one of those films that that I was excited to be a part of. The shoot was great, and then when I saw the final version of it, I was like, wow, I'm so proud to be a part of this thing. So
Can't believe it looks so good.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, wow, this guy made me look good. Wow. Yeah, so that's always a plus.
Well, cool. I'm glad to see you're staying busy, and I'm glad to see that you got a lot of stuff on your plate. I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of it.
Yeah. Thank you. It's good to be busy, but sometimes it's good to have a day off.
Yep.
You don't make it if you go to sleep, so you got to stay awake and keep on rocking. But I appreciate you taking the time, having me on the show. I love what you're doing for the local film community. It is important we have shows like this that support all of us local filmmakers, all the local actors, and local crew people, and anyone involved in local film. So I appreciate what you do as well for the community, man. Kudos.
Thank you. I find, like we were talking earlier about promotion and getting the word out there, if there's one thing we're all looking for, it's some way to help get the word out. And so anything I can do to help people spread the word about their projects is, because there's, so much good stuff going on out there. Just talking to you, we've listed, probably almost a dozen great things that I would recommend anybody, drop what they're doing and go watch. And there's so many other people doing great stuff out there too. So thank you for taking the time to talk to me and helping me spread the word about what you're working on.
Yeah, man. Anytime, man. Yeah.
Well, great. If people want to, follow you, keep up with what you're doing, where can they go? What's your Twitter handle and such?
You can find me on Twitter at Don Sill. I believe that's it. I believe it's just at Don Sill, and also Don Sill on Facebook as well. And I think it's on YouTube, Don Sill. So I think.
You got in early. You got all those things before it got too crowded. You had to add 6 numbers to the end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. If you see me on YouTube, my YouTube videos are mainly acting things that I've been in as an actor, and also family stuff. But if you want to see my work as an editor, you could check me out on Vimeo as well, and that's Donald Sill. So I throw a little curveball. I use my full name, Donald Sill, at Vimeo. But you can find me on Vimeo, YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, Facebook. I even got my MySpace account still, so you could find me anywhere.
Oh, wow. The Canker Sorz need a MySpace account.
Yes.
They need to get on MySpace. They need to get on Bandcamp.
Yeah, Bandcamp. Yeah.
You need to get on an episode of the Set List.
I have talked to Conrad and Tim about that, and we are going to be getting on the Set List.
I'm looking forward to that.
So.
Awesome. It's been great talking to you, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you do next.
Sounds great. Thanks again, buddy. I'll see you later, man.
All right. Take care.
Take care.